Welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire, a podcast where therapists give their real opinions on mental health, relationships, parenting, and pop culture. Hosted by Courtney Laver, licensed clinical social worker, and Jess Miller, art therapist. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mental Health Dumpster Fire. Follow Courtney on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Laver Listens, and Jess on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at The Artsy Brain. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and cannot be substituted for therapy. We cannot provide you mental health services via this podcast or social media. We hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to subscribe.
Welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire. I'm using my NPR voice.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome. We're here to chat about our opinions on mental health and pop psychology and all that good stuff.
Yep. How's life?
Pretty good. Now that the weather is consistently nice, I've been doing yard work more, which is kind of therapeutic to just like rip stuff out of the ground, and I enjoy it. I have to be motivated though. If I'm not motivated to do it, then I'm not doing it.
Sure. As with most tasks.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Cool.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm all right. My parents are in town.
Ooh, fun.
Right now they're in Cincinnati, but
Oh, they're close.
yeah. So they're coming down to stay with me for a couple days tomorrow, and that'll be nice.
Yeah.
And I am loving the fall, and I'm just working on transitioning to a new job
Exciting.
in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be more fruitful.
Yeah, transitioning to a new job is stressful, but also very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always a process, but it's going to be good, and it's much closer to home, so
That's a huge plus.
I need that for my sanity.
Yeah. I driving more than 45 minutes to commute to a job is not fun.
Yeah, especially on days, because our job is like, you work when people are scheduled.
Right.
So on days when I have like an 11 a.m. and then a 5 p.m., it's really hard to be 40 minutes from home and be like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, like sometimes there's enough time between clients where I'm like, I could go home and like take a nap and come back. And then, but most of the time, it's not enough time to even do that.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's like
And there's always something I could be doing on my laptop, I guess, but not that's when I get the motivation. Like when I'm not home and I can't go home, that's when I'm like, man, it would really be nice to clean my house right now.
Yeah. It's like, I would rather be at home doing laundry than sitting here. Yeah. And I like for a while when I had gaps like that between clients, I was like, I'll do my case notes in between. And I was good about it for a little bit. And then I was like, no, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I have to like have a set aside separate time. That's
Me
the
too.
same like every week. That is case note time.
Yeah, I need to do that too, because we schedule like 15 minutes between clients. Mm-hmm. But I need a little decompression time. I can't just be like still in therapy mode writing my notes, even though I know that's when it's going to be freshest in my mind. Mm-hmm. I can't. I need a time to just be like mindless.
Yes.
Like I just need 5 minutes to scroll on my phone and then go to the bathroom, eat a snack, get a drink of water, and then I can be ready for the next person.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. Like I think I was complaining to a friend about how I hate doing my case notes, and I was telling them my process, and they're like, well, if you schedule time between clients, just do it between. And I was like, no, you must be neurotypical.
Well, and when it's play therapy, I'm spending 10 of those 15 minutes cleaning the room.
Yes. I explained to a parent that one time. I don't remember what. She said something about wanting to check in with me, but there's never enough time when I bring my kid and you send him to the waiting room or whatever. And I was like, well, your kid kind of plays with every single toy, and then every single toy is on the floor. And so then I have to clean up every single toy. So that's why I don't have time to check in with you at the end of sessions. It's because that 15 minutes is spent cleaning the room.
Right. And not every session. I mean, if you really need something, schedule a parent session or a phone call. Like, put it on the calendar.
Right. And I was like, I was unaware that you wanted an update because you never asked. So in the future, just ask and I'll make sure to schedule extra time after your kids' sessions or something to check in with you. But I was just kind of like, okay. Well,
yeah, I don't know.
Bye.
I know there's different opinions on everything, and parents want to, I mean, we always talk about, like, parents being involved, but depending on their age, it can feel weird to, like, after every therapy session, your mom goes back to talk to your therapist. Like, even if your therapist is really good about confidentiality, it's still going to feel like they're breaking confidentiality if your mom's going back to talk to your therapist every week.
Yeah, and sometimes I just don't have much to report. It was like, we're making progress on the same thing we were talking about last week.
Right.
It's just kind of like we're still building on it, so I don't have a whole lot to tell you.
Yeah, I always tell parents you're going to be involved. Like, you know what I'm mandated to report, and then you also know that if there's anything I feel like you should know, me and your kid are going to tell you together. Yeah. So that you're up to date. So, and if there's any updates that you have for me, I need to know. But, I don't know. I just feel like as like a 7-year-old, I would be clocking if my mom was going back into the room with my therapist after every session.
It's like, oh, I just spent 45 minutes with my therapist, and now my mom is talking to my therapist about all the bad stuff I did this week.
Yes.
So, yeah, it doesn't send across a great message. I really, really encourage parents to do that kind of stuff via email. And I pitch it as, if you write it to me in an email, I'll remember it better, because that is true. And then also the added fact of, like, then your kid is not aware of you talking to me about this stuff either.
Yeah. I do have some parents that will email me after every session and ask me for an update, and I don't think they're pleased with the updates all the time, because sometimes it's like, progress is progress. It's gonna be, it's not gonna be a breakthrough every week.
Yeah. That's not how it works. It takes time. And sometimes, like, in the beginning, it's like, your kid just doesn't trust me yet. Yeah. Which is fine. I'm a complete stranger. So we're going to keep playing Uno No Mercy until the kid trusts me more.
Until they know that I have no mercy.
Right. I will not let anyone win.
That game is impossible. The No Mercy version.
Yeah. So there's like a rule in that version where if you have 25 cards, you're automatically out. But when you play it as a 2-player, you get to 25 cards so fast.
Yeah.
So
I always ignore that.
I always ignore that rule. And then there's another one that's really, really hard if it's just a 2-player. And I'm like, we also ignore that rule.
Yeah. I have Uno Flip, and I really like that one.
Oh, I like that one too. For some reason, the kids that I see, they don't really like it as much, but
I think it's, for kids, it's like you either love it or you hate it. Yeah. Because I've had some kids who are like, that's all they want to do. They only want to play Uno Flip. And then other kids who are like, oh, you only have the flip one? I don't want that one.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I've only played that one once, I think.
Yeah. It's fun. I like it. But Uno's a classic.
Yes, it's a good one.
Alrighty. I found a new subreddit.
Ooh, okay.
That I thought was interesting. I haven't like super delved into it, but I did like flag some things.
Okay.
And it's just, I thought we could just look at it.
Yeah.
What do you have today?
I just found some Am I the Asshole things.
Cool. Always a classic.
Standard.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at r/science.
Oh, I didn't even think about doing that.
Yeah, it just popped up on my home feed, and it's only for posting like official scientific studies.
Okay.
So it's not like articles about things on HuffPost or something.
Right,
it's like the actual studies, and you can only post like peer-reviewed studies.
That's really cool.
So I just filtered it by psychology, and I was just looking through like just the titles of them, because the titles are basically what the results are.
Very clear, yeah.
Yeah. And so I just picked ones that I thought were, well, I picked the top ones that I thought sounded interesting. I thought we could just talk about the titles.
Yeah, the results.
And if we need to like open it up and really dig into it, we can. But
Interesting. Okay.
yeah.
I like science stuff. This is good.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of, it's an election year, so there's a lot of political ones. But they are like interesting and depressing.
Yeah. Heavy stuff.
Yeah. Like this one says, usually U.S. political tensions intensify as elections approach, but then return to pre-election levels once they pass. This did not happen after the 2022 elections. This held true for both sides of the political spectrum. The study highlights persistence of polarization in current American politics.
Yeah. Yeah. I think based on my like personal experience with politics, like everything that's gone on after the 2022 election has felt way more like one guy versus the other, way more polarizing for sure.
Yeah, and I think in addition to, like, I know like social media has been around for a long time now, but everybody relies on social media now. No matter what age you are, it's not just for young people anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been contributing to the polarization and the continued intensification of just always being political no matter what time of year it is.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to what's the word?
Access?
Yeah, but like to like tailor your online experience to only see what feeds your side
like
of
your algorithm.
Yeah, your it's so easy to like make it so you're only seeing what you agree with.
Right. Yeah, so of course you're going to keep going more and more in that direction, whatever it is.
Yeah. And you can, and anybody can post anything, so it's just like the most extreme things. And there's another one on here that I put. Many voters are willing to accept misinformation from political leaders, even when they know it's factually inaccurate, and recognize when it's not based on objective evidence, yet they still respond positively if they believe these inaccurate statements evoke a deeper, more important, quote-unquote, truth.
That's just the definition of delusion to me.
Yeah, the top comment on this one is literally choosing vibes over facts.
Right, yeah, yeah. Which is not how you should vote for an election. Yeah. If I voted on vibes, I would probably just never vote.
Yeah.
Honestly. But
yeah, it says, this article says, according to our research, voters often recognize when their party's claims are not based on objective evidence, yet they still respond positively if they believe the inaccurate statements evoke a deeper, more important truth. They conducted a series of online surveys from 2018 to 2023 with over 3,900 American voters. They were designed to elicit responses about how they evaluated political statements from several politicians, even when they recognized those statements as factually inaccurate. Consider former President Donald Trump's claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Even among supporters who recognized that his claims about fraud were not grounded in objective evidence, we found that they were more likely to see these allegations as important for American priorities. For example, they believe the political system is illegitimate and stacked against their interests. The same logic applies to factually inaccurate statements about COVID-19 vaccinations that President Joe Biden made, suggesting that vaccinated people could not spread the disease. In our surveys, voters who supported this president saw the statement as important for American priorities despite recognizing its factual inaccuracy. So they're saying, like, yeah, it's not true, but if it was true, it would be really important. And maybe we should focus on how legitimate our elections are or how we get people vaccinated rather than focusing on facts.
That's just delulu. That's delusional.
Yeah.
That's literally what that is.
Yeah.
You're deluding yourself. It's so stupid.
Well, did you see J.D. Vance had an interview on CNN, and the news anchor person who was interviewing him said, like, why are you talking about this Springfield people eating pets
Oh
thing.
my God.
When nobody has ever said that that is a true thing. And J.D. Vance literally said, if we have to make things up so that people will listen to us, then that's what we're going to do.
They're not even hiding it.
Let me get the exact quote.
Not even hiding it
Since
anymore.
we're on the media, let me get the exact quote. Here's the quote.
Okay.
The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do.
That's not really what he's doing either.
If the American media is ignoring false stories,
that's their job.
That's their job. They're supposed to report on true
The
things.
news is supposed to report on real factual news.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have people that I know who will believe the misinformation, or they're of the that same mindset of oh, I know it's not true, but what if it was true, or what if it's partly true, or kind of conspiracy theory-esque. Yeah. And I think a huge thing is that a lot of boomer age people, and even the generation after that, were not really taught in school how to determine if a source is true or not. Yeah. Because every source they were given by the news was true.
Right.
So they were able to take it as true because that's how the news was working the way it was supposed to, right? But now, you were talking about in this age of where people are getting their information from social media, which you have to work to find credible sources.
Right. Because you can look at the little hyperlink and it's something you've never heard of before.
Right.
Why are we taking news from this place we've never heard of as fact?
But there's people who were never taught how to do that growing up and even into their adulthood, and so they don't do that, and so they're just assuming that the news cycle works the same way, I guess. And so they're believing misinformation, or they're the stupid AI recipes on Facebook that I see people post all the time. I'm this is fake.
Yeah.
I'm this is super fake. How do you not know it's fake? But people were never taught that, so they just kind of get stuck in this cycle of delusion. And then people our generation, when the internet first began, we were taught how to find credible sources or how to determine if something's credible because we had to, because of the internet blowing up so fast.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just that I think that's a difference, and almost an age difference, I guess, or just an educational difference between some people that might be contributing to it. But there's so many other things that could be making it worse, of course. But I think that's something important to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to figure out where your information is coming from.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving away from the political ones.
Politics makes me want to throw up.
Yeah. This one says, use of GPS might reduce environmental knowledge and a sense of direction. Which is interesting. I think that makes sense.
Yes.
I use my GPS for everything because it tells me about traffic.
Yes, I use it to check for traffic, and then I leave it on while I'm driving. But for the most part, I don't really look at it for directions. I just check it. I use the Waze app to tell me if there's traffic or a cop or whatever, or pulled over car.
Yeah. However, because I'm not from here, I've been here for a while, but I really only go to the same places.
Right.
And so even if there is traffic, I need it to tell me a different route that I can take, because I won't know how to get there if it's not the way that I go every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in this area, and so I know all the alternate routes for the most part. Roads be changing all the time here. It's crazy. But if I know that there's traffic going towards the Prospect area, then I know I can take a River Road.
Yeah.
Or, if River Road's backed up, I can take the interstate and get off and exit early and go that way.
Yeah. For the most part, I think people who know me might disagree. I think I have a good sense of direction. I could figure out, if I did not have my phone with me and I was in this area, I could figure out which general direction I need to go to get home. Yeah. Until I get somewhere that I recognize.
Yeah.
But if I have the tool, why wouldn't I use the tool?
Right. Yeah, that is true. For the most part, this is how I figure out where I need to go. If I am south or north of Gene Snyder, then I know if I need to go south or north to go home. And then versus if I am east or west of the other part of Gene Snyder. Does that make sense? That big loopy road?
See, I don't know east, west, north, south.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't tell you which direction I'm going. I just know this way is my house.
Right, okay. I see.
Yeah. I don't know what the roads are called. I don't know which one's south. I just know that way is where I need to go.
That's funny. That's funny.
So it's a sense.
In my head, I'm like, okay, I live very much north of wherever I am right now. And so I need to head towards the river. Yeah. And I need to go a little more east of here. Yeah. And then I can do it.
I wouldn't know that. I would be like, I need to go near the tree that looks like that.
Well, I will say I grew up in a family. We did a lot of hiking and outdoor stuff. And so we learned how to figure out where north, south, east, west is, and then where you are and where you're trying to go is.
That's smart.
So I've learned how to do that.
That's good. You have a smart sense of direction. Mine is literally a sense.
I have if you get lost in the woods, call me.
Yeah. I have a feeling of direction. That's funny. Which has served me well. If you drop me in a city that I've never been to before, I can figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not going to be I can't ask somebody for directions. I'll be like, I don't know what you're saying to me. Just point to me and tell me what to look for.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I do, if someone is trying to, if I'm trying to figure out where someone is, I'm like, tell me what the closest restaurant or bar is to you. Yeah. Because I can probably figure out where you are based on that. Yeah. Because there's so many itty bitty places here in the city. Yeah. That's funny, though.
Yeah. Okay, I have 3 more.
Okay.
This one says, in emerging adulthood, the process of de-identification is vital for twins to establish autonomy and personal distinctiveness while remaining connected. I love twin studies. They are fascinating. Twins very much want to connect with one another, Northeastern's Lori Kramer says. They want to preserve that closeness in their relationship, but they also need to find ways to chart their own identities. Yeah. So, I thought that was interesting. Twin studies are amazing. I feel like if I ever had twins, I would be obligated to be like, whatever studies you need for twins, I got you.
We're doing it. We're signing you all up.
We're signing you up. It's for science. Yeah. So it was a study called Forging One's Identity as a Twin, Balancing Sibling Cohesion and De-Identification.
That's interesting. I am not a twin, but my sister and I have always been like close in height our whole life. Mm-hmm. And now she's way taller than me, but we have always been, pretty close in height, and of course we always wore the same kind of clothes because that was just easy for my mom. And every now and then someone would be like, are you guys twins? And it's like, no, we have a 4.5 year age difference, but
yeah. Yeah, it's always funny when my sister and I go places, people will ask, are you twins? And we'll say no. And then they'll point, or they used to, they'll point to my sister and be like, oh, because she's older.
Everyone thinks my sister's older too.
And I'm like, what? So do you think we're twins or do you think she's older?
Yeah. What is going on in your brain right now? Yeah, people always think that my sister is older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a baby face.
I guess I'll just look young forever, hopefully.
Yes. This one says, gossip phrased with concern provides female gossipers a social advantage while harming the reputation of their targets, according to new research. Women engage in intrasexual competition through indirect tactics such as gossip to damage the reputation of same-sex rivals. This seems like a stretch to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of assumptions being made, I feel like.
Yes. Gossip phrased with concern provides female gossipers a social advantage.
Is that kind of being like gossiping about someone? Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, I saw blah 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 at such and such restaurant the other day, and she definitely had way too martinis. I hope she's okay. Like that kind of gossiping.
Yeah,
oh,
like,
okay.
Oh, did you hear about Sandra? She her husband cheated on her. Isn't that sad?
Yeah. It's like, I'm trying to come off as empathetic, but I'm just gossiping.
Yeah. Why do we need to... Yeah. Do we need to, further this idea that women are always competing with each other and
I hate
blah,
that.
blah, blah.
Like the Bechdel test
This
stuff.
one feels like you went in with, obviously, scientific process. You have to have a hypothesis. But...
Sound like a
when we're doing psychology studies, I feel like hypothesis can lean into bias, and you're looking for that confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Because
it's interesting. I like to hear about gossip. I don't want to be part of it, but I like to know what's going on.
Well, and I've been seeing recently, there's posts on social media about how gossip historically has been used to save lives.
Oh yeah.
And that's why
Passing
it's more
information.
associated with women, because women have to tell specific stories to other people to be like, listen, Lindsay went out with Graham and Graham was bad. Mm-hmm. We don't talk to Graham.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, and I've heard that too. Historically, gossip has been a source of protecting one another more than bringing each other down. Which, I mean, I could see people still gossiping that same way of don't date Graham. But
obviously it happens in a competitive way where women are gossiping about other women to make that other woman look bad. Yeah. But do we have to say that gossip is always
right? Yeah.
To be shitty?
Yeah.
I don't agree.
I don't agree with that either.
I think gossip has a bad connotation.
Yeah.
But it's often just to spread information.
Right. I guess it depends on what the definition of gossip is that you're using for a study.
It's a good point. Let's see if it says that in here.
Because if your definition of gossip is already a negative thing, then of course you're going to get results of women being nasty to each other for the sake of being nasty.
Yeah.
If that's your definition of gossip, then yeah. But if you have a broader definition of gossip, then you're going to get different results.
Right. Let's see if it...
What's up, kitty?
No. They did not call their story Bless Their Heart or their research. Bless their heart.
Did they really?
Bless her heart. Gossip phrased with concern provides advantages in female intrasexual competition.
Well, so then they're also adding in this discriminating against Southern women kind of thing going on too, which I hate. I hate it.
Okay, here's the abstract, which for those of you who don't read research papers is
the summary,
the synopsis of
it's the part that
the
we
whole
read.
Thing. It's the part where when you wrote papers in grad school, this is the part you read.
Yes.
Although many women report being victimized by gossip, fewer report spreading negative gossip. Female gossipers might be unaware they are gossiping if they disclose such statements out of concern for targets. Again, what's the definition? Because if they're unaware that they're gossiping, maybe they're not gossiping. 4 studies investigated whether women believe their gossip is motivated by concern and whether expressing concern for targets insulates female gossipers against social costs while simultaneously impairing targets' reputations. Let me read that again. 4 studies investigated whether women believe their gossip is motivated by concern and whether expressing concern for targets... The language in here. Why is it... I guess target is just who you're talking about, but, like, there's another word for that. Insulates, protects female gossipers against social costs. So they're trying to figure out if by phrasing it with concern, you are making yourself seem like, no, I'm a good person because I'm concerned for this person, even though I'm talking shit.
Right.
Study 1 examined sex differences in gossip motivations. Compared to men, women endorsed stronger concern than harm motivations, especially when gossiping about other women, suggesting these motivations characterize female intrasexual gossip. Again, I know that, like, we are academic people. Could we just use English when we talk, when we write these papers? Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with, like, speaking in common English. In study 2, female gossipers who phrased their negative gossip with concern versus maliciously or neutrally were evaluated as more trustworthy and desirable as social or romantic partners. What if they're actually concerned?
Right. Like, what if you're phrasing it, whatever you're talking about, as in a concerned way because you are concerned?
Yeah. Is
that still gossip?
Right. Because this is implying that they're lying about their concern, that they're not being genuine in their concern.
Yeah, I don't like this study. I don't... A lot of the words that they're using, these, like, target and things like that, are very negative and feel biased to me right off the bat.
Yeah. Study 3 replicated the favorable evaluations of concerned female gossipers. Female participants especially disliked malicious female gossipers. Sure.
Well, yeah.
Suggesting professions of concern might help avoid women's scorn. That just seems like common sense.
Yeah,
you don't
be
like
bitch.
Malicious people.
Yeah.
But you like people who are concerned for... What if we're just truly concerned?
Yeah.
Male participants reported lower romantic interest in female gossip targets when they learned concern versus malicious or no gossip, suggesting concerned gossip can harm female targets' romantic prospects. So if you are the one who's being talked about with concern, you are less likely to find a romantic partner.
Because I guess in this case, it's a heterosexual relationship going on, or just straight people or whatever.
Yeah.
So then the men would be, like, I guess, taking it as fact of, like...
Yeah. So if men are more likely perception. To believe the gossip is true if it's phrased with concern rather than malicious, because otherwise they can ascribe the gossiper as, like, well, you're just jealous or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
That seems like common sense too, though. Like, if someone's gonna gossip about someone you're interested in, they're being, like, catty and a bitch about it, then I would be like, well, I don't really believe you because it sounds like you don't like her already.
Yeah. Study 4 revealed these patterns extend to face-to-face interactions. A female gossiper was preferred as a social partner when she phrased her gossip with concern versus maliciously. Moreover, concerned gossip harmed perceptions of the female target as effectively as malicious gossip. Altogether, findings suggest that negative gossip delivered with concern effectively harms female targets' reputations while also protecting the gossipers' reputations, indicating a viable strategy in female intrasexual competition. So, I want to know, in these studies, did the women who are participating in the study identify that they were competing with the other person that they were quote unquote gossiping about?
Yeah, I want to know that too, because it might not be, because if they identified as competing, then yes, it would be like negative gossip. But if they were not competing, then maybe they were just truly concerned about someone.
Right.
Their motive is different, I guess.
Yes.
So they're just assuming they're all being competitive because two women can't be friends and not be competitive, apparently.
Yeah.
Fight me. Okay.
Yeah. This is a weird study. I don't like that one.
Were the people running the study male or female?
Well, if we're just going on first names, it looks like 2 men but the main researcher is a woman.
Interesting.
I don't know. Seems weird.
Seems a little biased to me and a little
it's
a
definitely
little
like
assumptuary.
you just have to go, like, it's definitely not a quantitative study, obviously.
No,
like,
which
you're
is
just
hard to do
going
in
on what
psychology.
people say. But yeah, I don't see anything in here about what they define gossip as or why we're competing with each other. If the woman they talked to, it looks more like a, what's that thing called? Where you just look at all the previous research and put it together. Literature review.
Yep. There we go.
Where you look at all the research that's already been done on this topic and then draw your conclusions based on that. So
Interesting.
it's pretty short, honestly. So
yeah, that makes sense then if it's more of a literature
do
review.
some more research, perhaps, and more thorough research.
I guess with that kind of topic, a lot of that research is going to be interview based or self-reporting.
Yeah, there's just not enough information in here that says, like, that answers my questions.
Right.
About, like, why are we competing? How do these women know each other?
Mm-hmm.
And what is gossip?
Yeah.
And how do you know it's malicious?
Right.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Okay, last one is cute.
Mhm.
Superhero films can encourage pro-social behavior by showing a specific scene from the 2016 film Batman vs. Superman. The researchers found that viewers who identified with Batman or believed his actions were morally justified were more likely to help others in a subsequent task. I did not see that movie,
Me neither.
but it's cute.
Yeah.
Superhero films. The participants were randomly assigned to either an experimental group or a control group. The experimental group watched a 3-minute and 47-second clip from the movie Batman v Superman, in which Batman fights multiple armed villains to rescue Martha, a captured character. This scene was chosen for its combination of violent action and a clear pro-social motive, saving a life.
Mm-hmm.
In contrast, the control group watched a neutral video that featured colorful shapes forming various patterns. This video, which had no violent or pro-social content, was meant to serve as a baseline for comparison. After watching the videos, the participants were asked to complete a pro-social behavior task. They were told they were helping with another study by distributing pieces of chocolate to future participants who liked the treat. The number of chocolate pieces each participant allocated served as a measure of their pro-social behavior. The researchers also measured participants' level of empathy after viewing the videos. To do this, they used a scale that assessed 3 different types of empathy, blah, blah, blah. Participants who watched the superhero scene reported higher levels of empathy than those in the control group. More specifically, viewers showed increased associative empathy. They identified more with Batman and his mission to save the hostage. This identification with the hero was a key factor that indirectly boosted pro-social behavior. While participants in the superhero group didn't give significantly more chocolate than those in the control group overall, the effect of the movie on pro-social behavior was seen through increased empathy. This suggests that feeling connected to the hero and understanding their motives could encourage viewers to be more generous and helpful in their real-world actions.
Interesting. I like how the distributing chocolate thing ended up not being a thing in the study.
Yeah, everybody was like, no, have
It's
the chocolate.
I feel like if there was a stipulation of you hand out chocolate and whatever chocolate you still have, you get to have for yourself, that might have maybe changed that result a little bit. But yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Watch superhero movies.
Yeah.
Get some empathy.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess it has to depend on the superhero movie.
Yeah, you definitely have to be it has to be obvious, like, what the motivation is of the
Yeah.
superhero.
Like,
but
maybe not the 1950s Superman show, because they were racist.
oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I like this science segment.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be, like, checking it out. I'm going to be following it to see if there's anything that comes up that's, like, super relevant
That's really
to us,
cool.
because it's definitely, I haven't read a research study in a while since I don't have to write papers on them anymore. And yeah.
I just read, I get the Psychology Today magazine.
Yeah.
And then I get, I think, another one too. So I just read whatever ones are in there. Mm-hmm. They're usually short and sweet. But I can't think of anything that stood out that I was like, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. I get a play therapy journal sent to me. Mm-hmm. And I look at the titles, and if they're not immediately interesting, I don't look at them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Should we read about some assholes?
Yeah. After that sweet, wholesome study about Batman and chocolate, I'm going to read you some asshole stories. So we've got, am I the asshole for telling off a lady in the supermarket after she made a teenage cashier cry?
Aw.
So this happened yesterday, and I'm still wondering if I overreacted. I, 35 female, was doing my usual weekly grocery shopping at a local supermarket. It was a busy afternoon, and the line at the checkout was pretty long. I was waiting patiently when I noticed the woman in front of me, looked probably mid-50s, was becoming increasingly agitated as the teenage cashier, who couldn't have been older than 17, was scanning her items. The cashier seemed a bit flustered. I could tell that she was probably new, making a few mistakes here and there, but nothing serious. The older woman, however, was not having it. She started muttering under her breath, rolling her eyes, and tapping her foot. Finally, when the cashier accidentally scanned an item twice and needed to call for a supervisor to void it, the woman lost it. She started berating the poor girl, saying things like, "How hard can it be to do this job? You can't even do basic tasks. You're wasting people's time." She just kept going on, and the more she yelled, the more flustered the cashier got until she started tearing up. I stood there for a second, hoping the lady would cool down, but she didn't. The poor cashier was clearly just trying to do her best to keep it together, and that's when I stepped in. So I said to her, "You don't have the right to treat someone like that. She's doing her best. It was just a mistake. If you're so unhappy, maybe you should try working like her for a day and see how easy it is."
Yeah.
The woman looked stunned and told me to mind my business. I replied, "It is my business when you're making a kid cry over something as stupid as your groceries." The cashier supervisor had arrived and stepped in to handle the situation, and the woman stormed off, still muttering and cursing. After she left, the cashier thanked me with teary eyes, but a couple people behind me in line gave me looks like I was the one who did something wrong, and now I'm second-guessing myself. So, am I the asshole for telling her off?
No.
I don't think they're the asshole for telling her off. I want to know why people in line had a problem with that.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between minding your business and you made it everybody's business.
The woman in line who was getting all like mad at the poor cashier made it everyone's problem by being so vocal and rude about it.
Yeah.
In a public store.
Yeah.
It's in public. It's everyone's business if you're in public.
Sounds like you need to go to a store with self-checkout.
Right. Yep.
Because clearly nobody can bag your groceries appropriately.
Yeah, yeah. And like, I don't know. I feel like so many people just don't have any patience for anyone at all. And it's so, I don't know, it's so upsetting. I worked as a barista for like 10 years. And like, it was so weird too. I knew certain times of the day that I would get like customers who were, like nice. They would ask me about my day while I'm making their drink. And like, I knew I wouldn't have to stress about it, but I knew like Saturday mornings before 10 a.m., that's when like the rush of people would come in to do their shopping or whatever. And they would be the most awful people. Oh. And I knew that was going to happen. But that like, it was always over stupid stuff. Like they just were being impatient.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you came into a store, into a coffee shop where I hand make your coffee for you. Like, I'm pulling the espresso shots, steaming the milk. There's not a machine doing it. I don't punch it in like Dunkin'. I'm making your drink for you. And if I don't think it's good, I'm going to start over and make you a new one. If you don't have time for that, go to Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's.
Right.
Like,
you're paying for a service.
Right.
So wait for the service to be done.
Yeah. I'm going to make you a good cup of latte, coffee, whatever you want. But if you're in a rush, go somewhere. Go to fast food, go to a drive-thru.
Yeah. Or if you're so picky about it, do it yourself at home.
Yeah. Get your own espresso machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then working in the food industry world too, like food service, this is the same thing. People are so impatient.
Yeah.
Like, I could have like 10 tables that I'm serving at the same time. I'm trying to keep everyone's orders straight and like make sure everyone's bill is correct and split the bill when people ask at the very last second if they want to split the bill. It's so annoying. If I forgot to refill your water, instead of like being an asshole about it, just tap me and be like, hey, can I get some more water? And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. Let me get your water. It happens. People are allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah. I have been privileged enough to not ever have had a retail or food service job. But I do feel like, as a form of restorative justice, we should be able to force people to work like 3 busy shifts at the place that they were a jerk at.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think every human being in this country should work some kind of food service or retail job before doing any other job. Because you learn customer service, you learn how to be nice to people when they're being an asshole to you.
Yeah.
And you learn how to deal with people who are being assholes.
Yeah.
Like,
make it like a class in high school. Like,
yeah, for real.
At least make it like some sort of simulated something.
Yeah. Role play practice or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I learned some of my best conflict resolution skills working as like serving tables.
Yeah, because you have to be polite and professional.
Yep.
But you also don't have to take shit.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And if someone was like, well, I don't like the way you're treating me, so I'm not going to give you a tip. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't really want your tip anymore because it was probably only going to be like 10%.
Right.
So
yeah.
I tip don't
anyway?
Really care.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna be super duper nice to you up until I think you're not gonna give me a tip, and then I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Don't care.
I don't like tipping culture.
I don't either. I prefer in Europe where the tip is just included with the meal.
Either that or just like don't make it a tip job where like just pay everybody what they deserve because you're doing work just like anybody else is doing work.
Right.
And at the university where everybody's salaried, there are still people who suck at their jobs that they make the same amount of money as their coworkers. So
yeah,
why are we at these, lower skilled jobs, quote unquote?
Right,
like, why are we saying like, oh no, your pay is based on how much I like you?
Yeah. Like working for tips was just kind of like degrading. It's just degrading working for tips like that. So I was lucky that the restaurant that I worked at and all the coffee shops I worked at, we had like it was a little more than minimum wage base pay, and then tips were just kind of extra.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I know there's some like servers who work at like $4 an hour, and then supposedly the tips make up the difference.
I don't
supposedly
like that either.
I
Because then
hate
you're
that.
assuming that other people are gonna give you a living wage, and that's not the case.
No, it's not.
Because people are mean.
Right. Yeah.
Especially at places where it's like a coffee shop, like where there's like a tip jar and you're pooling the tips together, and it's like, no, people don't even know to tip half the time at those places.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because if it's at a restaurant, you just tip the server that worked your table.
Yeah.
But at a coffee shop, it takes the whole staff there to get your coffee.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone has a job to play there, so you pull tips. And if you don't tip your baristas, then they're basically not going to get paid for the work they put in to make your drink that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think tipping makes sense for like creative things, like your
Sure.
tattoo artist
Yeah,
or
yeah.
your hairstylist or something like that, where
Mhm.
it's like, yes, I'm giving you have valued your work here, but I'm giving you this extra thing because you went above and beyond,
Right.
whatever. And maybe we could apply that to serving things as well. Like, it's not expected, but it's available to you if you feel like the service was exceptional.
Right.
But we should just baseline pay everybody what they deserve so that they can live their lives without being dependent on the jerks that come in and demand their service.
Right. And it just encourages people to be entitled assholes to servers.
Yeah, because then they can hold it over their head like, ooh, I am what is between you and eating dinner tonight.
Right. Like, oh, I would have given you like a 30% tip, but you forgot to refill my Coca-Cola the second that it went out, so I'm only going to give you a 15% tip. Mm-hmm. It's like...
And it's always like a huge, like, I was going to give you 30%, but now it's 10.
Right. It's like, I don't even think you were going to give me a 20%, which is kind of like the lowest that'll make me money off of the service that I provided you today.
Yeah.
20% is like nothing.
No, I hate the idea that places can be like, well, you'll probably make enough money, so we'll just pay you $2 an hour.
Right.
But what if I don't make tips?
What if I don't make
I'm
tips?
the best at this job, but I just have bad luck with the people that I get?
You get entitled assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're good at your job. And so the other servers and the host knows that you can handle it.
Or what if I work at a place where the food's really cheap and 20% is still like $2?
Yeah,
Like,
that was my problem.
Yeah.
I was like, even if you gave me like a 35% tip on your meal, it's like nothing to me. I'm making more for an hour than I am off of that.
And you should.
Right. I should be making way more, or I should have been making way more, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. I thought that story was interesting that the other people in line were being weird about the person who stood up for the poor cashier.
Yeah.
It was like, you all didn't do anything or stand up. Like,
And I think they were totally appropriate because they said they like backed off when the supervisor got there so the supervisor could handle it, and that's our job. But like in the meantime, here's a scary lady yelling at this poor child.
yeah, and she's crying.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I guess she's new to her job. Now she's having a horrible job experience. So yeah, I'm going to say something like, how dare you make someone at their job cry?
Yes.
Like, that is so awful. Making someone at their, like, you're berating them so much that you make them cry.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a 17-year-old. I don't care if it's a 47-year-old. If you make someone at their job cry, you're probably being an asshole.
Yeah. What if it's literally like the first day that they're doing this job without the trainer right next to them?
Right. Yeah. They're on their own.
Yeah.
It's probably busy, so they're stressed.
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Be nice.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
Yeah. That person should either be forced to do that job on the busiest day of the week, or they are never allowed to do anything other than self-checkout.
Yeah, yeah. Don't talk to people
Yeah.
if you're going to be mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I always say I'm going to make my kids, when I have kids, if they want their first job, I'm like, okay, you got to work retail or you got to work at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. You don't get to do anything else because that's how you're going to learn to deal with people.
Yeah. I really lucked out by not.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is lucky. I had my first job at 15, so I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I worked in high school, but I worked at the school. So I just worked in like the school's bookstore where we just rented out the textbooks and like made IDs and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So, and then in college I worked as like a student assistant in HR. So it was like office stuff.
Gotcha.
So I just lucked out by finding those jobs.
That is nice. My first job was at a coffee shop bookstore. I worked on horse farms for a long time, but that was only in the summer. But I mostly have worked at like coffee shop or like coffee shop bookstore places. And then when I turned 18, I started working at restaurants because I was old enough to serve.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I turned 21, I started bartending too.
Yeah.
Which bartending was way more chill than serving. I like that job. I could tell people to fuck off.
Yeah, I always thought if I like really needed an extra job, that I would look into bartending.
Yeah, bartending for festivals or like one-time events is the best, because basically all you do is pour beer or pop tabs.
Yeah.
You don't have to like actually make drinks.
Yeah.
It's super chill. Pro tip.
Yeah.
If you're over 21 and you want a fun summer job, serving beer at a music festival that you like, you get free tickets. It's a good gig.
Yeah. They're hiring bartenders on the riverboat.
The Bell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah,
That'd
I
be
could
fun.
probably do that, but what if I get seasick and I'm like making people's drink? Like, I don't know.
Oh, I don't think the river is choppy enough for that. But if you're already sensitive,
I get motion sick pretty easy.
Oh, okay. See, I get car sick really easily, but I do not get seasick or water sick.
Interesting. I get motion sickness by like turning around too fast.
Yeah. Like I hate swings, and I get motion sick or car sick super easily. But I grew up riding horses and like on boats, like little pontoon boats, my whole life. So I don't know.
Maybe it was just
different somehow.
Your ears got used to it because you did it young. I don't know.
I don't know. I've always been prone to car sickness, but weird. Bodies are weird.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is interesting. I think it's interesting. It's about board games, like a game night type of situation, and I felt this was very relatable. Am I the asshole for not inviting my coworker to our weekly game night, and HR is now involved?
Oh
no. Okay. So I've been hosting a weekly board game night with some friends and coworkers for a while now. It started out super chill, just a fun way to blow off steam after work. Snacks, drinks, a lot of laughter around the table. Pretty soon it became this thing that everyone looked forward to. A few months ago, my coworker, Jake, caught wind of our little tradition and asked if he could join. At the time, he seemed cool, and since we were looking to mix things up a bit with new faces, I figured why not? Big mistake. At first, it wasn't too bad, but after the first couple game nights, things got intense.
Oh no.
Jake turned out to be way more competitive than any of us. He takes every game super seriously, constantly correcting people on the rules or telling us how we could be playing more efficiently. What used to be fun and laid back turned into this high-pressure thing where no one felt comfortable making a move without him jumping in with his expert advice. In team-based games, he basically tries to act like the captain, telling everyone what to do and criticizing decisions. I've seen people get visibly uncomfortable or frustrated when he goes on these long rants about why we lost or how someone messed up. It's exhausting. When he wins, he gloats for way too long. And when he loses, he'll sulk and mutter stuff like, that wasn't fair, or this game is so imbalanced.
Like taking my ball and going home.
Yeah. I don't like this game no more. Like, dude, it's just for fun. But it's clear he doesn't see it that way. He's killed the vibe so many times that a few of my regulars have asked me privately if Jake would be there before deciding if they wanted to come. And honestly, I don't blame them. So last week, I didn't invite Jake. I kept it to our core group and everyone had a blast. It was like old times. No tension, just a good time. But of course, word got back to Jake because apparently one of my coworkers can't keep their mouth shut. And now he's been giving me the cold shoulder at work. He even confronted me about it, asking why he wasn't invited, and I tried to downplay it, saying we were just keeping it small that night. Then things took a weird turn. I got an email from HR the other day. Apparently, Jake filed a complaint saying that he feels excluded from activities that involve coworkers, and now HR wants to have a meeting to talk about it. I was completely caught off guard. I mean, it's a private game night at my house. How is this an HR issue? To make things worse, Jake even talked to our boss, saying it's affecting his morale and workplace relationships. So now my boss and HR want to have this big team building conversation about it later this week. I'm seriously stressed about how much this has spiraled. It's just a game night. Now I'm wondering if I handled it wrong. Should I have talked to Jake about how his behavior was making things less fun, or am I justified in wanting to keep things low-key and enjoyable for the rest of the group? All of this nonsense begs the question, am I the asshole for not inviting him to game night anymore? And how do I even handle this HR mess?
Is Jake an only child?
That was the first thing I thought of. It's like, I think Jake is an only child. Not only is there science to back up the differences between only children and those with siblings, I have life experience to back me up on the differences between only children and siblings. Yeah, he sounds like an only child.
Poor Jake.
Yeah, I feel bad for both of them. I feel bad for everyone. The poster asked if they should have maybe talked to Jake first, and I think that might have been a good way to go to avoid an HR issue. However, that would be hard and awkward to do and would take some time, and it sounds like Jake just kind of immediately ran to a person in a higher place of power to solve this problem for him.
Honestly, I'm surprised that that HR and the boss are getting involved.
I know. Like, do they realize how ridiculous this sounds?
Like, you're allowed to be friends with whoever you want. Like, you can't, your boss can't tell you who to hang out with outside of work.
Yeah, it's not a work-hosted hangout event.
Yeah.
It's at this person's house, and they just started it for fun, invited friends, and of course some of your coworkers are your friends. Like...
Yeah, that's where a lot of people make their friends.
Yeah, it's through work.
But you're not obligated to be friends with everybody you work with.
Right. And they thought Jake was going to be chill, and then he wasn't.
They gave him a chance.
Yeah.
He was too... Yes, you could have been honest with him and say, listen, dude, you need to chill. You could have given him another chance to be like, this is a game.
Mm-hmm.
There is no life and death stakes on this Monopoly game or whatever.
This
we're
is not
playing.
an NFL game. You're not a quarterback.
We have not bet real money on this. Like, it's okay.
We're just trying to play freaking Uno, my guy.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
We are decompressing and we are having fun. So either you need to get on board or you're not going to be invited to another game night. Mm-hmm. So yes, maybe a conversation, especially when I understand being scared to do that because this is how he acts.
Right.
But
he might have still gone to HR, but it might not have become a thing if they had talked to him first. But yeah, like, and it sounds like they knew him from work, but maybe weren't super close to him. And that's why they invited him to game night so they could become more friendly. And then it just took a turn because Jake cannot handle team playing or playing board games with people.
Right. And there are plenty of people who are very competitive and very much like a stickler for the rules. Mm-hmm. But it's also important to read the room and get the vibe. Yeah. Yeah. Because if everybody's there to just chill, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to play to win. You can play to just have fun. That is kind of the purpose of board games.
Yeah.
And games in general is to have fun.
Yeah. I think, you know, and I don't think they should have to like adapt to be like, well, on the days that Jake comes, we'll just play like, I don't know, something that's not really like goal based. It could just be like the like games where you're just like chatting or something. Mm-hmm. Like where there's not really like an end game. Right. But
I feel like Jake is someone who wants to play like intense board games though.
Right.
He wants to play he wants to play these board games that are more intense and have more rules.
Yeah, he has to play Catan and
Pandemic,
Ticket to Ride and games where you're like sabotaging each other. And
oh my gosh, I bet he has totally wrecked those games for people too. Mm-hmm. Because like that's why I was like, I feel a connection to this story because I have played board games with people who like are just like way too into winning, and I'm just kind of, it's not fun anymore. I don't want to play no more.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people get super intense about like charades and
yeah, I know.
It's like, dude, nobody knows how to perfectly mime these things. Like,
Right.
we're just playing a game.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Chill out.
Mhm.
Take a chill pill.
mm-hmm.
My goodness. Yeah. I think that's funny that we both were like, I think he's an only child.
Yeah.
Based on that behavior.
You know, I just feel like he didn't really learn to take turns or share and deal with disappointment. And
Right.
I understand maybe there's some anxiety about like making sure things are fair and that everybody's following the correct rules. However, you don't have to be the boss all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And some things can just be for fun,
Right.
like games.
Yeah.
That reminds me of these people. I play Monopoly Go
Oh, yeah.
on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not like that obsessed with it anymore. But back when I first started, I joined like some Facebook groups where they were like trading the little stickers that are in the game. It's a whole thing, and I'm not going to explain it. But
If you know, you know.
sometimes in the game, they'll have these events where they put you in teams with other players. And you have to like roll a certain amount of times and get points, and then you're competing against other teams of players.
Okay.
And it's not people you know, they just randomly
Yeah,
put
yeah.
you with other players in the game. And then in these Facebook groups where people are trading these little trading cards within the game, there were people complaining because they were like, I have a team of 4 and this person's not participating and I have 10,000 points and they've only contributed 500. And then people are commenting like, dude, it's a game.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be okay if you don't win 1,000 rolls in the game.
Right.
On
And
Monopoly
it's a
Go.
randomly assigned team.
It's a
you
randomly
know?
assigned team, and it's one of those games that like really encourages microtransactions.
Yeah.
So the people who are complaining about it are probably people who
spend the
pay
money.
for like pay $50 for another 1,500 rolls, and then they're mad because the people they randomly got paired up with is a normal person who's not on their phone 24 hours
They're
a
just
day,
playing the free version.
spending thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Somebody posted a screenshot of how much they spent on Monopoly Go in a month, and it was over $1,000.
No.
Like-
no.
Way to go, having that much money to spend on a game.
Yeah.
I hope you do
Jeez.
have that much money to spend on a game.
Yeah, I hope you're not like using your kid's allowance to pay
Yeah.
for your Monopoly game.
They're like, do I eat or do I buy
I could eat ramen
stickers?
for 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
It's worth it for the sticker.
I get paid tomorrow. I could spend some money on some
Goodness.
in-game currency.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, some people are just really competitive about non-important things.
Yep.
And sometimes, you know, you do you, whatever floats your boat. But when you're trying to make friends with other people and be included in social things, you need to be able to read the room.
Yeah. You need to bring it down. Bring it down.
And at the same time, I feel like maybe they could have had a conversation with him before deciding not to invite him.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they decided, like, no, I don't think he's going to chill even if we tell him to.
Right.
Giving him a heads up like, hey, man, it's not the vibe.
Right.
You're not invited anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's all you needed.
You can work on yourself, then maybe we will re-invite you, but
Yeah.
we need a break.
And then I wish HR had been like, hey, bud, this is not work related. We're not going to get involved. Here's your employee assistance program
Right,
so
yeah.
you can go see a therapist.
Here's your one-time voucher for a free therapy
Yeah.
session. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that HR got involved. And the
I'm
boss,
surprised.
too.
Yeah, I'm
and-
surprised that they, like, what company are you working for? Because it doesn't sound like you're doing a whole lot if they
Yeah.
can take the time to.
It sounds like Jake spun the story to make it sound more work-related than it was.
It sounds like, well, but it sounds like he was saying because I'm not included in this outside of work activity, it's affecting my work. That sounds like a personal problem.
Right.
It doesn't sound like something your boss can help you with.
I have a lot of things that go on that impact my ability to be productive at work. But
everybody does.
Yeah, like that's a thing that happens to everyone.
What vacation time is for. That's what sick time is for.
Right.
That's what your EAP is for.
Right.
You need to figure that out, or you need to get a different job.
Yeah. Maybe you need to just work from home.
Yeah. Because it's not, if you not being included in outside of work friendships is affecting your work, that's something you need to deal with.
Yeah, that's a boundary.
It's not your coworker's job to be like, oh, well, let's help you out and make us miserable.
Right.
By just letting you run game night.
Yeah. That's more of something that you need to work on, of like how to compartmentalize a little bit better between work and friends. Even if your work friends are your friends that you are hanging out with, you can still be better about compartmentalizing your relationships a bit. Yeah.
Poor Jake.
I know. It's like, I feel bad for the guy, but also like, calm down.
And, being an only child is fine. I just, maybe only children just need more socialization.
Yeah. I think part of that, this is my theory with only children, is that they go to school and that's how they practice their socialization. Then they never have the chance to apply it anywhere else because they don't have siblings.
Yeah, they don't have to live with them.
Every interaction they have with another kid is something that is pre-planned and set up and is like constantly being overseen, versus, playing with your siblings at home and just kind of effing around.
Right.
Doing whatever.
Experiencing the disappointment of having a sibling.
In real time. But yeah, it is just different. Like, socializing with your friends at school versus with your siblings at home is completely different.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just you and your siblings at home playing, you're kind of on your own.
Right.
Because that's the expectation.
And even if you have friends that come over a lot, like, your parents treat them differently because that's not their kid.
Right. Yeah.
So unless it's like your first cousin who's over all the time and you basically parent the same way, like, that kid's going to be treated like a guest. And it's not the same thing as like a sibling relationship where you have the same expectations. So
yeah. This one is just juicy. And that's kind of
juicier than Jake.
Yeah. This one was juicy and has an update post to it. Am I the asshole for calling off my wedding because my fiance wanted to invite her ex? My fiance wanted to invite an ex to our wedding. From what I know, he was a dick who always put her down and told her that he was the best that she could ever do. Naturally, I asked her, why the hell does she want him to come to our wedding? She said that she wanted to shove it in his face, that she did amazing for herself, and she got someone way better. While I appreciated the compliment, I asked her, are you really so hung up on him that you're going to make our wedding about him? Honestly, once I said it, it was like someone else had told me. I didn't even realize what I was saying, and I didn't even understand it until I said it. I told her that she shouldn't bother to invite him because we weren't getting married anymore. She was stunned and eventually apologized and told me to forget about her ex. I felt angry and almost told her that she's the one who needs to forget about him. I don't know. I don't know why they said that. IDK. She spent the day telling me that she's sorry for bringing it up, but I'll be honest, I'm even reconsidering the entire relationship now.
Well, I don't understand the shift.
Yeah.
He took it as a compliment, but then was immediately like, wait a second, she's hung up on him.
Right.
I understand not wanting to invite him. And I understand the thought, but like, let's have a conversation about that instead of just being like, yep, that's what it is. She's clearly is still in love with him.
Yep.
Like,
cross the line, I'm done.
If anything, it sounds like it was a somewhat emotionally abusive relationship if he was telling her that he was the best that she could ever do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that she's trying to like prove to him that she's healed from it, but also is still kind of a little bit like still healing from that abusive relationship.
Right. Like, this is how she feels will
it's
help
hard,
her, maybe?
Yeah, it's hard to, like, let go of the hold that an abusive person has on you.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're feeling like, oh, I need to show that I'm doing better, you're still thinking about it a lot because it just changes all the core beliefs you have about your life.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of an extreme reaction to immediately be like, this is the hill I'm gonna die on, you're still in love with him and it's over.
Yeah.
Maybe there was some more context that they didn't include. But
I think it was a bit of an extreme reaction. But some people in the comments were like, you're not the asshole for calling off the wedding. And, ooh, excuse me. A lot of people seem to be coming from a very personal place with
That's
that
fair.
response.
Yeah.
Saying if her fixation on her ex raised serious doubts about the relationship, then you're not the asshole. The fact that she wanted to invite him to shove it in his face shows that she's still emotionally tied to proving something to him. And like a lot of people agreed and saying how it's weird and toxic that she wanted him there and stuff like that. But it sounds to me like those kind of people might be coming from a different perspective.
Yeah, and they
a similar situation, but a different perspective.
Yeah, I wonder what the poster's, like, friends and family would say about,
Right.
like, because they presumably know her a little bit better than random people on the internet,
right,
and have been part of their relationship in some way. So
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
I definitely would need more context about what their relationship looks like.
Yeah,
before determining, but I think it was a bit of an extreme reaction to that. And then there was an update. So the original post was about a week ago, and the update was yesterday.
Okay.
Update. Am I the asshole for calling off my wedding because my fiance wanted to invite her ex? So we are going to try some premarital counseling first. That would be...
Can we do that anyway?
Oh, yeah.
Even if this hadn't happened?
My fiance and I are doing sessions leading up to and then after our wedding.
Yeah.
Like regular ones. And then doing maintenance sessions from then on out. But like, yeah. Yeah. If you're going to get married to someone, please go see some premarital counseling. Like 3 sessions. 3 sessions would be great.
Because they might bring up something that you hadn't ever thought would have been a problem.
Yeah. And the counselor or therapist is trained in how to have those conversations and can help you problem solve a lot of things that would, if they came up later when you're already married, could be deal breakers. So, yeah, do that first, please. But they're going to do that first. Wedding has gone from being called off to just being postponed indefinitely, which I think is fair. My fiance tried to explain why she wanted to invite her ex, but not only does she keep changing her answers, each one made it way worse for me. This person's like, I don't know. This person's got something personal they need to work on. First, she tried to explain she just wanted some payback. I told her, what if he doesn't care? Are you going to rub it in his face are you going to rub in his face when we have our first child in our first house? Like, are you going to keep,
right,
bringing things up to your ex to try and prove a point if this doesn't work? She said she didn't mean it that way. She just wanted to prove her worth, which I then told her I guess her ex is the only one who can determine her worth. That's not a great response to have.
That was
kind of
you took
jerky.
that very personally.
Yep. That was you took something that they said very personally and then just reacted to it. We kept going like this for a while, and there wasn't a single answer she gave that didn't basically boil down to she cares what her ex thinks, and apparently she can't be happy unless her ex felt some sort of way.
That's an assumption.
I don't think it's true. I think that is the poster's perspective.
I think
that's how
the
they
first
feel.
part, I think there might be truth in that first part.
Yeah.
Where she still cares about what he thinks. And
right.
I think that's trauma related.
Yes.
But the second part of she can't move on or whatever he said.
Yeah, she can't be happy.
That's an assumption that you're taking personally because she wouldn't be with you.
Yeah. She is happy.
Yeah.
She wants to marry you. She is happy. But she still has like stuff that is going to keep coming up until she deals with it relating to her ex.
Yeah.
and she needs to go to her own therapy or whatever to work that out.
Yes.
Doesn't really have anything to do with fiance, just that, her fiance is, I would hopefully assume, is a better person than her ex.
Maybe.
But it kind of sounds like fiance might be a little bit
if he's gonna jump right to it's over,
yeah,
without any kind of trying to resolve it or hear her side, he also needs his own therapy.
Yeah, he's avoiding confrontation basically at that point.
They definitely need to go to that premarital counseling for communication.
Yep, that would be the first thing to work on. The poster's assumption that she cares what her ex thinks. Apparently she can't be happy unless her ex felt some sort of way about it. She denied it, but honestly, I find it hard to believe her. I don't want our marriage to be only worth something if her ex is the only one who can determine it. That's not what she's saying.
What she said.
I refuse to be with someone whose happiness revolves around their ex feelings. Not what she's saying. That's not what's happening. You are taking this to a whole personal assumption level that is not true, but you're taking it and running with it and kind of using it as an excuse.
Well, and he's decided that that's the truth. And so when she's saying that's not true, he doesn't believe her.
Right.
So he needs to be able to stop believing that wholeheartedly, that like her whole happiness revolves around what her ex thinks.
Right.
Because she's telling him flat out, no, that's not what I said. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get resolved if you've just made up your mind and you're not going to be able to be flexible and listen to her when she says that's not what she meant.
Right. And if that continues, then you're not going to get married. It's not going to work if that continues on. I decided to at least try some counseling. We've been together for several years now. I figured I should try, so at least I can say that I tried. I don't know if that's the mentality. So you've made up your mind
that it's not going to work, but you're going to the counseling so that you can say, well, I did it.
Yeah. This sounds like they're going to break up to me.
No, he's decided that they're breaking up.
Yeah.
And they're going to waste their money on therapy so that he can say, I did everything. I went to counseling and she still insists that it's all about him.
It's like when couples are going through separation and divorce and one of them is already decided that they're done and the other one isn't, but they go through all the hoops, but it's like, I can see it a mile away that it's not going to work out.
Yeah. I bet he's going to say, well, the therapist immediately took her side and wouldn't listen to me, and so
kept telling me I was wrong,
and we're not going to go to a different one to hear the same thing.
Right.
So it's just done.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to blame the therapist.
Yeah, he's being very, very close-minded, which is not how you should go into communicating. It's not how you should go into a marriage. It's not how you should go into therapy. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work.
No, you've already made up your mind.
Yeah. If you go into a situation to make a change, but you've already decided what you think and what you're going to do about it, nothing's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's a waste of time.
And honestly, she doesn't deserve that.
No.
She doesn't deserve somebody who's not going to listen to her and hear her out if she phrases something in a way that he doesn't like.
Yeah. She can do better.
Yeah, it was kind of an extreme jump, like, can he not just like see your announcement on social media and get jealous that way? Like, why does he have to be invited to the wedding?
Yeah, that is a little odd, but I don't know. She felt like that she wanted that to happen.
Yeah. And maybe it was just like an offhand comment that she didn't actually mean she was going to invite him. She was just like, oh man, what if we invited him so that he could see how good I have it? Hello.
Yeah, I could see that being where maybe kind of where she was coming from. And then he just was like, we're not getting married.
Yeah.
And then she's like, whoa, okay. Because she, in the first post, it was something of like, he wanted to call off the wedding. And then she was like, whoa, okay, well, we don't have to talk about it. I'm not going to bring it up. Like,
right. She backed off.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean, like, maybe she legitimately changed her mind, or maybe she really didn't mean it that way.
Like, if this is going to be a deal breaker for you, it's not worth me inviting them. I'm not going to now.
Right.
But, like, holy cow.
But he immediately took it as, like, well, now you're just saying that to try to give me what I want. Mm-hmm. What if she's not? Like, could we explore the possibilities?
No, he's not going to.
Yeah.
He's not willing to. He's decided that he's out. And he's going to make it look like he tried, like you said, he's going to look like he tried everything he could to make it work, but it didn't. Oh, it's so sad. But he's not going to do anything. Yep. He's already decided.
He's made himself the victim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now, what if? What if he makes up this whole narrative? He makes himself the victim. He says she's absolutely still hung up on this guy, and she only wants to invite him to the wedding because she's still in love with him or whatever. And so it's absolutely over, and we did all the therapy and we did all the things. And then years later, he meets somebody else, and he says, what if we invited her to the wedding?
Oh. Ooh. You're an asshole. Yep.
Sorry.
I didn't read the comments on the update because it was so recent. Yeah, people keep saying not the asshole.
Yeah. Reddit's a good place to go to get validated.
100%. Yep. Because I think, so the recommendation for him for them to try premarital counseling came from a Reddit comment. Mm-hmm. But the top comments were, oh no, dude, you're not the asshole. She's she's toxic. She's still in love with her ex, blah, 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 stuff like that.
Right. Because if he had gone to the people who know him and know his relationship, he probably would have gotten a more balanced response.
Yeah.
But he wanted to hear that he was right, so he went to strangers on the internet.
Yep. Yeah, people saying, it's been 7 years. I can't believe she's still obsessed with her ex. Well, if he was being emotionally abusive to her, that's going to stick in her brain for a very long time.
It's going to change her whole mindset. And how long was she with him?
I think she was with her ex for 2 years, he said.
That's a long time to have your whole life rearranged.
Yeah.
And all your beliefs about yourself, like, thrown out.
It takes a lot of undoing, and I'm going to assume that she hasn't been going to therapy.
And the way she said it was like, man, I never had it this good with him. I'm so much happier now.
Yeah.
Like, how do we take
she's starting
that as...
to do the healing.
Right.
And if it's going to take a while for it to be completely not a problem for her, and it might always be a little bit of a problem for her. But, like, it sounds like she's working on the healing part and might just need some more help and support. But, yeah, he just...
It was a traumatic thing, and people forget that, like, that takes a long time to heal from. And sometimes you make jokes about it. Yeah. And people don't see it as like, oh, well, that means you're over it. Right. No, I'm just trying to cope with it.
Yeah. This is my coping skill that I'm using right now.
Toby, what do you think? He said he's the asshole.
Oh, yeah. we love a cat that can tell the difference between an asshole and a good person.
That reminds me, I saw a TikTok, I think it was yesterday, where they were filming themselves watching the Princess Diaries, the Anne Hathaway, and
is it the part where they're talking about her dad?
Yes. She goes, her friend says, oh man, I have to go to dinner with my dad. I don't know what to talk to him about. And Anne Hathaway says, well, at least you have a dad. And her friend says, hey, I thought you were getting over that. It's been what, 2 months? 2 months?
Yeah.
Her dad died 2 months ago.
And I will say, if you've seen Princess Diaries, spoilers, it's been out forever. But Anne Hathaway's character, she grew up not knowing her dad, like personally. You know, he wasn't in her life. But still,
2 months.
2 months. I thought you were over that.
Hey, I thought you were getting over that.
Yeah.
Okay, shut me down, why don't you?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's not a great response. It is kind of, I will say, with that character who said that line, though, that kind of lines up with her character. being a little bit
she
like.
She then got mad at her for straightening her hair.
Yeah. Yeah, friend broke up with her because she got her hair straightened and was being cute.
Yeah. Her personality had not changed at all. Good Lord. Hilarious. Alrighty.
That'd be fun to take like classic movies that lots and lots of people love and talk about some of the toxic stuff that we see or some of the psychology behind it.
Once we get enough subscribers to have memberships.
Yeah, then people can pick what movie or show we watch and then we'll talk about it.
Yep. But in the meantime, if you have a recommendation and you want us to talk about something, we will do it.
Maybe this is how we start our Patreon.
Maybe we start with some free stuff. Mm-hmm. Let us know what you want to see. Toby, What do you want to see?
He wants us to watch the movie Cats with Taylor Swift.
No. Not
I don't want to. I didn't even like the musical on Broadway, so.
I'm good with the creepy cats.
Yeah, they freak me out.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. All right. We're at an hour and a half. Should we recommend something?
Yes.
Perhaps?
I brought a book.
I'm so happy for you. Did I think of anything
Do you need time?
to recommend? No, I did not. Tell us about your book.
All right. So I have talked about this, the author of this book before. So her name is Amelia Knott. She's an art therapist based in Canada. Has a fantastic Instagram and TikTok social media accounts. And I've been following her since before I was an art therapist. And I've used some of the things that she talks about with my own clients before, and I've used some of the things she's talked about personally to work through things. But she wrote a book. It came out October 15th. I pre-ordered it. Nice. And forgot that I had pre-ordered it, and then it came in the mail October 15th, and I was like, oh, I have something to work on, something to do. But it's called The Art of Thriving Online. It's a workbook, creative exercises to help you stay grounded and feel joy in the world of social media. I'm the kind of person who will use social media like chronically, and then all of a sudden I'll be super tired of it. And I'll go on a like fast from social media, and then I come right back. I boomerang. And I have some friends who do that as well. And we always talk about like, why can't we be happy one way or the other, or find something in the middle? So Amelia talks about that on her social media accounts, and this is what the workbook is about. It's super, super cool. She has, right up front, she has a land acknowledgement, which more people need to do. She has content warnings for certain chapters, so if you want to avoid certain kinds of content that is triggering to you, she's got it listed right up front, which I love.
What was the first thing you said? A what?
Oh, a land acknowledgement. So a land acknowledgement is like let me read it. This is a book about mental health and the meeting place between digital and physical spaces. Spending time online can leave us feeling dislocated from the land that we live on. Discussions of well-being cannot be separated from social, historical, and political context that we live within. And then she talks about where she is based in Canada, and it's based on the unceded territory of the Sinixt people, Indigenous people of Canada. So this land acknowledgement is something she does in a lot of her work. And it was something that I learned about in grad school. And I could talk more about it maybe on a podcast episode.
Sure.
But she does a good job summarizing it. You can't talk about the well-being of a community or of a people without taking into consideration the social community and the historical context and political context of a people. So, and then she also provides further information on land acknowledgement and like what you can do about it to continue the conversation. But this workbook is so cool. The main topic areas are attention, productivity and urgency, privacy versus performance, comparison and worthiness, fear, anger, and disinformation, place, body, and belonging. And then the last chapter is kind of brings it all together. But she provides examples of her own work. You could do the work directly in the book, or you can do your own artwork. She like one of the things is like charting your doom scrolling using an app. Ooh. And turning it, I know, like how much time you spend on certain apps, and then using it to create an artwork to remind you of like how much you doom scroll. But it's a really cool workbook, and I'm really excited to start doing some of the things in it.
Cool.
But yeah, that's my recommendation.
I like that. Yeah.
And if you don't already follow her accounts are called Art Therapy IRL on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
She's super cool.
Yeah, she was one of your previous recommendations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think, with the exception of this podcast, take a social media detox.
Yes. Especially as we're approaching this election. Mm-hmm. Limit your social media as we approach this election. Or just be more mindful of the social media that you are participating in. Yes.
Yeah. Seek out the cat videos.
Yes.
And listen to our podcast, and then take a break.
Yeah. Yep. Don't get on Facebook. Get on Instagram and just look at artwork or reels of funny things. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Be nice to yourself.
Yes. I will also recommend a book. I don't have the physical copy with me at the moment. It's at my office, but it is a parenting book. And it's called How to Stop Losing Your Shit with Your Kids. And it is very much focused on what you can do as a child. Nope. The opposite. What you can do as a parent to stop parental meltdowns is what she calls it. Mm-hmm. The description on Amazon is stop the yelling, lose the guilt, and become a calmer, happier parent. Drawing on evidence-based practices, here is an insight-packed and tip-filled plan for how to stop the parental meltdowns. Its compassionate, pragmatic approach will help readers feel less ashamed and more empowered to get their act together instead of losing it. Mm-hmm. So it's very focused on keeping yourself at a baseline level so that you can parent without feeding into drama or getting into a power struggle with your kids or yelling at them and leading to a place where like now you feel bad because you were trying to discipline your kid and you went a little bit too far, and now it's like your kid's feelings are hurt instead of the problem actually being solved. So it's a lot about mindfulness, and it's a lot about like thinking about how you were parented and what you want to do differently or what you want to keep from your childhood and how you were raised. So it's a good book. There's also an audiobook if you are a listener instead of a reader like me. So How to Stop Losing Your Shit with Your Kids. It's by Carla Nomberg. And it's pretty good.
Cool. I'm going to add that to my wish list.
Yeah.
It's a good book to have.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Please share with your friends and family this podcast. Let us know what you would like us to talk about in future episodes. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like if you're on YouTube watching us.
Yes. Rate, review, subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah, if we could get some reviews, that's how we get more, like, it spreads faster.
Yeah. If
you're
listening to the podcast in an audio format, please rate it. Mm-hmm. Give us a rating. If you're on YouTube, please make sure you're liking the video and subscribed. And if you comment just anything, could be an emoji or something.
Yeah, that helps us. But it
helps other people find the podcast. Mm-hmm. If you ever see our clips on TikTok or Instagram, if you like those or like add them to your story, I don't know.
Yeah, if you share those, that helps a lot too.
Yeah.
Spread the word.
Yeah, we would love to be able to expand our audience to more people, get some more guests on, things like that. And then, again, if there's anything that you feel like would be interesting to hear some therapists talk about, let us know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so comment anything. If you're watching on YouTube, literally whatever pops into your head or your favorite emoji or something.
But be nice.
Oh, yeah. I guess I just assumed you would only have good things to say.
I meant like if someone were like, you can comment anything on my YouTube page. I just want to get more people to watch it. And I would be like, poo poo pee pee. I'd like just stupid stuff like that.
I don't care about stupid stuff, but yeah, keep like bad opinions, like nastiness.
Don't be nasty
to yourself, because otherwise that comment's probably not staying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me how cute my cat is.
I know. He's been joining us more lately.
Yeah.
Share, comment a cat emoji or a cat gif. I think you can do that on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't know if you can on TikTok,
If you can do gifs on YouTube, go for it. Okay.
He's so cute.
Say goodbye, Toby.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you next week.